Good morning. Just catching my breath. I left my pink paint downstairs and realised actually what we're painting has got quite a bit of pink in it. So, good morning. Good morning, good morning. Hopefully a couple of you are jumping on live. So this morning we're going to paint this, or we're going to have a go at a loosely version of this beautiful, I can't think what Sally called it, but anyway, this with the beautiful, I've called it Purple Sunset because it looks like a purple sunset to me. So we're going to paint this. We will be doing a loosey version, so brace yourselves, guys. So what we're going to start with this morning, as always, as you probably already know how I paint. In fact, I think we're going to turn it up this way. I'm going to paint it this way. I think it'll be better. We're going to start with creating this top little bit. You know how I always say, don't make your painting half and half. Good morning, Donna. How are you? So we're going to use, and as you can see by the picture anyway, the top half, the cloud is more than, like the bottom one is more than half, if that makes sense. So we're like a quarter or whatever. I'm not mathematical, as you know, but so we're going to do this top bit first, and we're going to be creating like some oranges and pinks in our sky, and then we will do the grassy area or whatever it is at the bottom, or the little reeds and stuff. So we're really going to start with some yellow and red on our palette and some white. So I always use my Liquitex if you want to know what paints I'm using. We're just going to start with a little blob of yellow and red. Thanks for joining me early this morning as well, because I had to change in the time because we're going away. Yay! I have got orange in my studio, but some colours I don't mind when they're pre-mixed, but a lot of the time I like to mix up colours. They tend to like turn out nicer when they're mixed. So you want some red and some yellow to mix yourself a nice kind of dark orange. Don't do that yet. And some white on your palette. So again, I'm just popping a little splodge of white on here. And we will start with painting in a little bit of a line. We'll start with some yellow and some white. We'll leave the pink for a minute. So I'm going to start with my 1-inch brush. A little bit of water. Hello, whoever else has joined me. I can't see your name, but hello. In fact, I'm going to start at the bottom, and we're going to start with a very pale sort of yellowy colour for our horizon-y line, and then we'll start bringing in some orange, deeper oranges. So if you start with a little bit of white on your brush and a little bit of yellow, this is how I would do it. Obviously, you can do things your own way. And I'm going to make a kind of line across here. It doesn't matter if it's not very straight or anything, just so you've got a bit of a marker. And then this is how I always kind of paint my sort of sunsets, is starting from this lighter colour. I don't know if there's a rule in acrylics. There's usually a rule, and I usually break them. There's usually a rule for painting where you start with dark to light or light to dark or whatever, and I just think it's a load of crap. But I think that you have to get your own feel for what works for you. So for me, I'm just going to be painting in a very pale section of yellow here. And yes, we're going to be covering a lot of this with cloud in a little bit. So I'm going to take a little bit of the red to start bringing and some white and some yellow to mix in like a peachy, orangey colour to start bringing in some darkerness. Is that a word? Darker colours into my sky. Again, as I do this, I will keep, to blend it in, I'll be using the white to make that blend in there with the yellow, so that it doesn't just overpower it and straight away start going really dark. It's very easy to get really dark really quick and then kind of paint that into what you've already painted. So for me, I want it to look very pale down the bottom, but then coming into being orangey. So I'm just going to start using less white now and start darkening this up into a deeper orange. So what I'm doing is using quite a bit of red, to be honest, quite a bit of red and a little bit of yellow to get this dark orange colour. But because of the way I paint is by what's the word, like intuitively, and I just pick up my colours and let myself feel it as I go. So you can do that as well. You can start to just sweep in your colours however you want them to be. Now, what's going to happen over this side, I went to press on my phone then, and it's on my laptop down here, is we want to start making this into a pinky colour over this side. So I'm going to focus on this side and get all the oranges in. So it's a sort of, I'm going for like a deep red orange over here. So I just keep mixing in some yellow and red to get a nice deep sky in there. And I'm going to keep doing that all the way up the top. All the way up to the top. There is a little section here that's quite bright yellow, so I'm going to take some white and some yellow and brighten that up just in there, just for a minute, which you can do as well. And then we'll carry on darkening it with the orange, with the red and the yellow. Don't worry about this bit over here for a minute. We're going to make that transform into pink in a minute. So this is our easy bit, just painting all this nice orangey sky in here. Our difficult bit's going to be the clouds. I always get, sometimes I can just paint clouds and it's just no problem at all, and sometimes I just really struggle. So we'll see what happens today. I'm just going to take a little bit more white and yellow again to again bring this bright section in over here. Okay, now I'm going to take some white on my brush. I'm just not going to wash it out or anything, but I'm going to take some white and I'm going to kind of carry on over here to blend some of this in. I'm just going to take a little bit more yellow there as well with the white to make sure I don't use that yet, lose that yellow, should I say, down here, and bring in these colours up here. So what we want to do is start making this a little bit pinky over here. So we're just mixing, I'm just mixing some red and some white over here. To start getting it a little bit pink. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in some rose pink. So we've got some quinacridone rose. Yes, I said it. Usually can't say that. And I'm going to add some of that in to my sky now. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to take a little bit of water on my brush and rinse out some of that corally colour, which is actually quite a nice colour. I'm going to take some white and I'm going to take some of that pink. Okay, and we're going to just start painting in that pink and adding it into the red. And to blend that into the red, you can take a little bit of red and white with your pink. so that it starts to blend. Don't remember as well that a lot of this is we're going to be painting over with the cloud anyway. I'm just going to take the pink on its own to do this top bit, and I'm going to take a little bit of red to blend that in. That's how I always blend, whatever colour I'm using. Sometimes I use white to blend, but if you're using a little bit of red and you're using a little bit of pink and you just keep swapping between the two, they'll start blending into each other, so that we can get a nice pinky bit of sky over here. Okay, that looks quite nice, doesn't it? Looks pretty lovely. Whenever I paint from a photo, I'm never really looking for getting an exact. I'm just taking a bit of red now and going over it all. I never really look for trying to get an exact replica of the photo. I just like to use it as a guide. So I'm quite pleased with that, and that's our first little section done. We could purple up that sky actually. I'm going to do that. So with this little bit over this side, it's got a little bit of purple, I'd say, mixed in there. So I'm going to take a little bit. Obviously, hopefully you guys have got some of these colours. But I'm going to take a little bit of this deep purple. And as always anyway, if you haven't got these colours, just do whatever colours you have got, because it's really cool. Like, I love seeing it when you guys start showing off your paintings that are slightly different to mine. So it's really nice to see that you've done it different. So I'm going to take a bit of purple and a bit of the pink. And I'm just going to bring some of that in here. Just add in some, just a little streak. I've got my 1-inch brush and I'm just streaking some of that purple in there, in the sky, to give it a bit more darkness. Yeah, I quite like that. You can't really see it too well on the camera, but it is just a bit of a hint really. And there's a lot of purple in our clouds, so I just want to give it a bit of a hint of that purple that's going to come into our clouds. You can put a little bit down here as well if you want to. I might do that. This purple looks wicked against yellow, so I might just pull in. So I'm just going to put the purple like on the end of my brush and just pull across some kind of deeper, darker impressions of the clouds. Now when I'm doing that, I'm just doing it very, very lightly, so I'm really letting the brush just really, the tip of the brush like just scan across to get a very faint purple kind of line there. Right, what we're going to do next is we're going to dry this off so we can put our clouds in, which could go well and it could go not well. Come on, who has every faith in me? Usually me. Usually me. I usually have very good faith in myself, but we'll see. I'm always hit and miss with clouds. I was teaching a workshop, I think it was in July now, like an in-person workshop, and I was teaching the seascape that I did on the first 5-day challenge, on the original one. And when I was teaching that, I might have said this last week in the 5-day challenge, can't remember. I feel like I said it somewhere the other day. I was teaching how you can like make your clouds with the palette knife and then use your finger, which I'm probably going to do today. Use your finger to kind of rub it in a little bit. And this woman that was on this workshop with me, she was like, oh my God, I can't believe you've taught me how to use my finger to make clouds. It's incredible. It's life-changing. So we might do that today. Right, we're just going to dry off a little bit. Right, before we put our clouds in, what I'm going to do for this next little bit, ta-da, it's so pretty. It's got some really nice, like nice water in it, and then lots of green areas. So I'm going to just paint in, I think, all of this bottom bit. I'm going to paint in some green at the top, and then I'm just going to paint in lots of kind of purpley water. This is what you get live, guys, when you're when I'm doing something and figuring it out. You get to hear my process of how I'm going to do it. So I think I'm going to paint in some green here, then paint in some purpley yellowy water. And then we'll come back to our clouds in a minute. Okay, yeah, we're going to do a bit of green. We're going to do a bit of green and see what happens. This happened last week with the Croatian waterfall, didn't it? I started doing the waterfalls and then I was like, no, I need to do this bit and we need to come back to the waterfalls. So we need to do a little bit of groundwork. Morning, Tam, how are you? So I'm going to take some dark green. So I have two greens that I tend to use, which is my sap green, a nice dark green. I'm going to take a little blob of that, which I'm going to use dark anyway, because it's always good to with acrylics, with painting and stuff, it's always good, like it'd be darker in the background, and then as we come to the foreground, these are going to be lighter and bigger. So I'm just going to paint in a little bit of a dark section with this green at the back to start with, to just give us a bit of a layer. So as usual, I'm painting with my 1-inch brush. Using my 1-inch brush, I'm just taking some of that dark green and just straight underneath our horizon line. If I can do it straight. We're just going to paint in a nice bit of dark green there. I'm going to use some water to loosen that across a bit. I'm just going to have a nice strip of dark green there. And because I've used a little bit of water, it will fade itself out, because when we're using acrylics, if you add a little bit of water, it just starts to pale them down. That's how we get our reflections and stuff as well. So if you just sweep across with a little bit, it doesn't really matter how far you go down, just do a little bit. Maybe like the sort of width of the brush, so like 1 inch or so. Let's just have some pale green, and like we've got the darker green at the back, and I've just paled it off by adding a bit of water in there, so it's just the dark green. Okay, so we'll just have that little strip there to start us off with. A lot of this is going to be green anyway. We haven't actually got much of water showing. We've got a lot of stretch of water coming through here, but I find it easier to just paint all the water in, and then we'll paint all the green on top. So we'll take our brush and we will, this water is really, really like purpley, so I'm just going to take like some purple on my brush, maybe some pink as well. Maybe let's mix some purple and pink, and we're just going to start painting in all of this section underneath now, in a nice purpley pink colour. I don't know how well it will blend with that green, so just go careful when you get there, and if you need to, take a little bit of white on the tip of your brush, and then hopefully that can kind of blend you in from the green into the purple. Don't worry too much about this bit, because we just want to get, it's just really going to be a base of for where our water's going to be. So all I want you to do now is paint the whole part of this canvas in. I keep dabbing just in a little bit of water, and we just want some purpley pinky colours happening down here. If you want to, you can make some darker purpley areas, but we can always go over that anyway when we come in to do our green greenness, whatever these green things are in this field. I think Sally said that it was celery or something. What does that look like to you guys? What's this green stuff? I don't know what it is, but anyway, we'll probably just paint some kind of greenness. So we just need to, I love this bit because it's just really free and easy and nice to kind of paint in some. I'm mainly using purple, and I'm going to purposely make sort of darker, like darker strips of it in places. Let it be darker, and then you can use a little bit of water again, which will help it go lighter. In places as well, use a bit of pink, and just let yourself be loose and free and play around with your colours. Bear in mind that this is going to be a bit of water, a lot of this. We're going to go over some of it in green. A lot of it's going to be water. You could take some white actually and add some in places, that would be fine, because we can darken and lighten this up anyway afterwards, okay? But I think if we just get this bit in, then we can easily go back to our clouds and then come back to finishing off. So it's not the easiest one this week, have to say. It's not the easiest painting, but when you guys get to share what you want to paint, then I have to put up with it not being too easy. So literally, as you can see, the way I paint is it's very free. I just let my brush just sweep across. There's nothing particularly tricky about it. It's like colouring in, I suppose. Colour in the canvas all at the bottom. Make it all nice and pretty with your purples and maybe a bit of white and maybe a bit of pink. Just let yourself be loose with it. Let yourself feel what colours you want to use and how you want them to be. That's what I love about painting. It's really nice for you to follow along with me, and yes, you know, I might have a bit of a clue what I'm doing. But a lot of that is through my intuition. A lot of it is because I let myself just be guided and just feel my way onto the canvas. I'm just going to add in some white at this section here, and some purple because it's not blending very well. This is definitely going to be loosey twisted. Twisted with a loosey twist. So I'm just taking some more dark purple so that we can, and a little bit of water, finish off this bit. But as I've said, you can always take what I'll be doing, which you'll see anyway when we get there, is once I've done this background bit and we've done the clouds and we start painting in the green things, I'll be adding dark and light sections. There'll be areas where I want to brighten up and darken down the water, so we can do that. But for now, just let your brush go wild and free. I haven't added any yellow into it yet, even though in this section here, we've got quite a lot of yellow kind of light coming in, but I'm going to do that afterwards. Some orangey yellow light on top. A bit like if you were, I think most of you were in the 5-day challenge last week. And what we did with the moon after we'd painted in the water was then we put in the orange reflections afterwards. That's just the way I see it. I just feel like get your layers in, get those base layers in so that we know. We loosen up as well while we're doing all this kind of bit. It's a good exercise to loosen ourselves up. So I'm just taking a bit more water with that purple to just finish off down here. A bit like when we were painting the sky as well, like half of this is going to be covered in anyway. Keep running out of purple paint. Who's painting along with me? I don't usually see the comments till after, to be fair, so I ask you questions, but I can't really see till after. It's quiet without our Linny today. She's gone camping. Bless her. Okay, I'm just going to take a little bit of my purple now that I've done all the base layers, the base bits, and I'm just going to swoop in some little darker areas. Because sometimes you don't even need to do the light areas. By just doing the darker areas, it automatically makes the other areas lighter, and vice versa. Sometimes by just doing the lighter areas, it makes it dark. Okay, so that's pretty cool. It looks very purple. But there you go. Oh God, sorry, smacked my head on it. Whoops. Right, so we're going to come back to our clouds and have a go at our clouds. Now, I'm going to do these clouds with a palette knife. Now, if you remember, what did we do last week? So last week, I know some of you are new in here because some of you have joined us from the 5-day challenge. But if you if you were here last week and you were already in the membership, then we did my Croatian waterfall last week and we painted in those clouds with the palette knife and it looked amazing. So we're going to give that a go today. And we're going to start with, if you haven't got a palette knife, what will I suggest that you use? I'm going to suggest that you use one of your filbert brushes. So something filberty or moppy. I might go with a mop anyway. Either of these kind of style brushes, or maybe I'll start with a mop. Maybe I'll start with a mop. I'm going to start with a mop. Going to start with a mop brush, okay? Just a little, oh, it's got all white paint all over it. Just a little small mop brush or something similar. Do what makes sense to you and what feels right for you to use. And we're going to dab a little bit of water on it. And with the clouds, what I want you to maybe realise and take note of is that what we want to do with our clouds is we just want to be creating darker and lighter areas. That's how they kind of look fluffy and how they stand out, because you've got some darker and some lighter. So we're going to start with some purple on its own with a little bit of a damp brush, and we don't really want to put very much on the brush. Like I always put it on and then kind of dab it off again. And it might not look great when we start, but we're going to make a few layers on this, okay? So we're going to start and we're going to do a similar, you know, we're just going to make it look kind of puffy and cloud-like by just tapping the brush in. And just sort of moving it, swirling it about a bit, okay? Just let your brush sort of do the strokes. It is tricky, and there is, you know, there's learning to come. There's learning with clouds, there really is. but just getting in a few little strokes to start you off with the purple. And it doesn't have to be exactly like this cloud anyway, just let it be your cloud, you know. And then I'm going to take a little bit of white with that. I'm just kind of feeling this as I go. I'm just taking a little bit of white and I'm going to push that in to some of the edge areas. You can do this blending thing, so you could take your finger and blend some of this in a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to take some more dark purple on my brush and do some darker layers again underneath that. There's kind of like quite a white bit on here, and then it goes very, very dark again. We might need to darken this purple up. We might come back to that after. So I'm just letting this brush just be very wispy and letting it wisp about a little bit. Okay, so we've got the basis of our cloud there. Well, it does come across a little bit more over here in this painting, in the picture. It does come across quite a bit. So I'm going to use some more white with this bit and just paint in some of this bit. I think with clouds, what I would suggest, or what I think is the trick, is you just have to keep painting and just keep layering and keep adding in dark bits and light bits and just let it kind of form itself, if you like. I'm just going to take quite a bit more white here and just paint in this bit with some white there, some highlighted bits, and then smooth that off a little bit. And I'm definitely going to add in some darker bits and some lighter bits. I'm just going to take my brush now and just have the white on the end of the mop brush and just take a few little areas very gently, and again just sort of maybe blend that into the little bits of darker purple, so we've got some highlights on those clouds. It's definitely a tricky one, ladies. And try with your what's it called, filbert brush, if you want to try with that. But there's a start on our clouds, and what I potentially might do in a minute is take some more yellow and white and brighten this bit up, and then I want to take some more darker purple, and I might add some black maybe to the dark purple to really darken it up. So we'll do that little bit next, and then we'll start on some of the bit down here. We also need to put a little bit of background in as well at the back here. So I'm just going to take a little tiny bit of black on my palette. You don't need very much at all, just a little blob. Literally just put a little blob right here in the bit of my palette. Morning, Jay Cherie, how are you? Because I want to darken up that purple to get some deeper purple cloud in there. So I'm going back to my mop brush. It's had a bit of a wash. And we're going to take some purple and a little bit of black. So just dab your brush in the black a little bit and into the purple. It will get black very quick. So maybe mix it a little bit on the palette first to make sure, if you don't want it too dark. It is going to come out dark. But we have got some really nice dark underneath here. Like, it really does go quite dark. So I wouldn't be too afraid. But take a very, very small amount of black because it will darken it up fast. Okay. And then you could add some of this to the cloud above as well. I think it's going to look good if we add some up here and darken that in. And we can put that light back. I've gone over that light bit, but we can put that back in afterwards. Because it's very dark up here. And you can add that into other little spots of the cloud, wherever you want to have little dark patches, which always look good next to the light patches. But this is what I mean about playing around, because it can take a little bit of time to just get the various tones and colours in. But this is quite like, this needs to be whitened up underneath here as well now. So I'm going to take a little bit of white. And puff some of that around in little places. Just a very, very little bit of white. But it will look good because it will highlight over that darker spot now. And in that dark, very dark bit at the top as well. So we're just taking a little bit of white and just let it kind of highlight itself. Okay. So that's the start of our cloud. we can put some more cloud in here, and I would use a brush or a palette knife, probably my brush, to do these wispy bits at the bottom. We can still play around with that cloud, but I'm going to just do this yellowy bit and some wispy clouds underneath, and we'll do the background of here next. So I'm going to take some white on my 1-inch brush, a tiny bit of yellow, but you don't need very much at all because we want it quite bright. So a very pale yellow and more white than anything. And I'm going to just bring in this over here. Now you might go over your purple a bit, which is fine, because we can take that away again in a minute. I mean, we can add the clouds again in a minute. I just want this to, and I'm going to use, like, it goes sort of like puffy, if you like. So I'm painting this in, but I'm going to puff it out as well to make it sort of, let's use the mop brush actually. I'm going to use some water on the mop brush, and I've pulled that across, but I'm going to fan it out with a little bit of water off the mop brush, and then that'll help that, like, what's the word, like, puff it about kind of thing. Sort of blends it in to the background. Okay, don't worry about the little sky bit there. We'll go over that with our purple in a minute. We just wanted to put that quite light bit in there. So I'm going to go back to the purple and just add in some of the dark purple with a tiny bit of black back over some of that yellow, so it kind of brings our fluffy clouds over the little bit of bright sun. Okay, so it just zooms it back in there over that yellow, over that nice bright patch. I think we need to put some of that bright in here as well, which I'm going to do, and we'll add in the clouds. So we'll do the bright patch first. So we'll come back to our 1-inch brush and back to our pale yellow. So again, just some very white and pale yellow, and we're going to just make some highlighted bits over here where it's very, very bright, just like up above. Just use your brush, just use your 1-inch brush to let that sweep through the sky. And then we will go back to our mop again, back to the mop brush, and we're going to make some white and yellow clouds, I think, here. So again, we're just using a very similar colour to what we've just done with the stripes, and we're just going to add in some cloudy bits. I'm going to take some water on that brush as well to do what we did above and make it sort of puffy. And just sweep that in there and make it sort of blend into all of those colours. Woo! Okay, so we've got a nice little pale puffy cloud going on underneath all of that darkness. I think I would want to darken that cloud up as well a little bit, but we'll play around with that after. So that's our stormy clouds in the sky. There's loads more you can do on that. Like if you really want to go, I don't like I said, I don't really like going too much by the picture anyway. I just like doing my interpretation of it. But if you actually go back to the original picture, there's lots more you can add in cloud-wise in that sky, but it takes a lot of playing around and a lot of practice. And as I usually say to you guys, this is the start of it and the basics of it, and you can build on that and have a go yourselves and keep playing around with it. So I think what would be good is to create some little bushes and then some impression of some stuff going on in the background there on our horizon line, and then we'll start painting in these greeny things and some more of the water. So I'm going to take my filbert brush and dab in a little bit of water, and we're going to take some of that dark green again. If you want to add a tiny bit of black, I'm going to add a tiny bit of black to mine just to darken it slightly. And all we're going to do is make some little bushes on that horizon. Just check that this is dried off, it should be. So we just kind of like make the impression and just do some little dabs. Just on that horizon bit, just so it just looks like there's something going on. Make your little trees bigger and smaller, or however you want them to be. And you can just do that however far across you want that to go. I like doing just a little bit in the corner, and then I'll do a little bit over the other side as well. So again, I'll take some more green, a little bit of black mixed in with that dark green. And just dotting it around on the end of my brush and just putting in. You could make like mountains if you want. You know, you can just pull in like shapes, like little humps, if you like. That just give the impression of something happening back there. So I just do it like, kind of like this, and just sort of scribble across, if you like, and then sometimes just add in a few little trees at the end. You could do that. Just dab, 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 dab. Okay. So it's entirely up to you how you do this bit. It's really just simple, and you just let the brush dab, 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 dab. Just paint that in there like that, okay? And it just gives straight away an impression of something going on in the background. There is in this painting, in this, photograph, like some, I don't know, maybe like electric things going on. I don't know if you can see them, really, really skinny little line things. So we could paint some of those lines in if you want to. So I would just take maybe my angle brush and just take a tiny, tiny bit of black on there and just pull up a few lines if you want to. I would do it upside down to find it easier. And you can just pull in a few lines that maybe look like electric poles or whatever they're called, them electric things. You can do those, that's no problem. You could even, if you really wanted to, like pull a line sort of really, really faintly, like across there. So it does look a little bit like electric-y, whatever they're called, you know what I mean. Them things in the background that are everywhere, them electric things. So you could do that, which it does look like that might be going on in the background anyway. And so what we're going to do next is finish off our green areas. And what we're going to do for this is I'm going to take what brush am I going to use for this? I think a fan brush might be good for this. We'll try a fan brush. So if you guys have got a sort of little-ish fan brush, then we're going to take some, start with the dark green I would suggest, and then as we get up here and we do bigger ones, we're going to use the lighter green. But we can start with a little bit of a mixture of a dark green and a light green really, to start painting in some of these little tufts, if you like. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the fan brush, we're going to take some dark green, I'm not going to use any water, and we're just going to start bringing in like tufts and stuff all across the back. And then when we come in here, we're going to leave sections for our water that comes through. So we're just going to take the dark green on the end of the fan brush, and I'm going to sort of start doing it at the end where the green ends, and just pull up a little, very, very short. We don't want it very long here because you can't really see massively what's going on in the background there, so it doesn't really matter too much. But we just want to pull up some very little short lines with the dark green over there. Okay, I'm not going to do all of them because I want you guys to start doing your own thing. And then what we'll do is we'll do like another couple of layers, and And you can stagger them, like it doesn't need to be all in one because they are staggered anyway. So just start staggering those colours in. Sorry, staggering that dark green in there. Does that make sense? They look really, really, really small in the background here. But as these ones, like, we can pull them up a little bit, and we'll pull them up with some lighter colours anyway. And if you just do little sort of sections like this, basically you just got to fill the whole canvas now with this. And then what you'd be doing is we're going to be brightening up the water, which we'll do as we finish off, okay? But these background ones are very little. And you can have as many as you want because you can have more water on show if you want. I'm going to probably have more water on show than anything else. But if you start doing the dark first, in fact, I'm going to do this differently. I'm going to have some really big sections coming in now. So I'm going to pull these up with my dark. And as we get down here, which I'm not going to do quite yet, I'm going to leave quite a lot of this as water. And when we get down here, they're going to be, well, I'll just show you now because they're going to be a lot taller, like a lot taller. Okay. Okay, so we just got to go through the whole canvas and put those in place wherever you want them. And if you want to, I think a lot of you, when you paint along, you have the reference photo next to you anyway. So you can bear in mind where it is on this picture. But to be really honest with you, and you know what I'm like, I'm quite honest, I get bored with just painting stuff like this all the time. I'd rather paint in my water. So I'm going to be painting a few of these in various sections. But I'm not going to do loads because I want to paint water. And I'm going to dot them about. And anyway, with something like this, okay, we're using this reference picture, but we want to be making it our own, and we want to, what's the word? We want to, I don't know, yeah, make it our own basically. So if you're a person that likes painting this kind of stuff and just keeps wanting to paint them, then go for it. And we are going to lighten these up in a minute anyway, as well. But what I want you to be aware of in perspective wise is that as we're getting down here, you know, you want to be making them bigger. They want to be in your face and bigger. So wherever you're putting yours and however you're doing yours, just make that bit happen. That they are bigger as we get into the foreground, okay? It's looking quite cool, actually. So, there is quite a lot in this section. But just let your brush take you away and let them be where they want to be. Okay, so bearing that in mind, and there isn't really much else to teach you in regards to that. What I want you to be doing now on top of that is taking your lighter green, and I leave the darker green on my brush and just add the lighter green, and then we start highlighting some of these. And what you'll do is, like, these ones at the front will be a lot lighter, so you can put a few highlights in these back ones. But these front ones, you can very much start highlighting them give them lots of highlights, I would suggest. And this is the light olive green that I'm using now. And definitely go wild. I can't wait to see what you guys do. I'm just really lightly brushing this on, by the way, just to get, so you can get a feel for how I'm doing it. You can add white as well if you want to add white to the light green. Feel free to do that, because that will highlight it even more. So maybe when you get down to these ones, you can add in some white to that to highlight it, definitely, because it would be brighter. We do need to just finish off the water with some yellow and whites and stuff. So this one's definitely tricky, if you like, and I'm quite happy doing the sky and doing whatever, but these bits are trickier. So I'm just going to take a little bit of white and show you how much more highlighted it would be when you add that on. You just have to do it very gently, otherwise you'll just end up getting loads of white everywhere. So we're just putting a very, you know, just a little tiny bit of white on the tip of your brush. There you go, that's too white now. It's gone too white. But these ones, you want them to be brighter and whiter, I think. But yeah, sorry Sally, I've not done it very justicey. I'm not very good at this bit at all. I really don't feel very confident in this. But I'm going to add to the water and show you what I would do with that, and then I guess I'm going to have to leave you guys to it and hope that you can do a better job than me. It looks all right, but I also think, like, we're at the hour. I don't really want to spend any more time this week on it because I'm heading off and going away. So it might be that what I might suggest is that we have a little go, and I'll see how you guys get on, but maybe we can finish off together on next week or something. But I'm just going to just take a little bit of white and a little bit of yellow, because I want to get some colour into this water. Now I don't know if this is going to work, and we might have to blend with the purple, but specifically, especially like down here, we have quite a lot of this orangey yellowy sun that is reflecting on this water here. So I definitely want to take in some chunks like that across my water. What I'm going to do is swirl the brush out a little bit and take some of my purple to blend that in there, because it's just a little bit too wild. Maybe we should have done this before we painted the green in. We might have to paint the green again. But if you can do this all the way like across your, wherever you want your painting, to show that it's, because this bit will start to sort of show that it's what's the word, like water. I'm just taking a bit of purple there to maybe blend this in a little bit more. I'm going to just take some lighter patches here as well and maybe bring this in under the water. And you can always pull these down as well to give a lot of reflection looking water, which always looks good. And smooth it across again. I always love doing that on the water. So I think that looks quite cute. Looking great. Really, I don't think it's looking that great at all, but thank you. I think what you need to do with this painting, as I said, I am not very good at having patience for creating loads of little bits of grassy things or whatever they are, celery things or whatever. So I think you guys need to spend your time building those up, and if I was going to carry on with it, then I would be building those up more. And like I said, maybe we can have a little go of that next week, where we can finish off some more of that. Now with the reflections in the water that I've just done, I think what you guys could then potentially do as well is add in like the oranginess from the sky. Let me just show you, because it would look pretty cool if we just added in a little fleck of that to finish off. And then I am going to just run and leave you guys to it. Thank you for saying it looks great, Jay. Sorry, I'm not very confident in this one, but it looks okay. But thank you, and I do love doing it with you guys. So I think if we take a little bit of, let's try this, some yellow and red, and make a little bit of an orangey colour on our brush. This reflections that we've just put in here, I think we could add some of that skyness in there, and I think you could put this really wherever you wanted to on your painting. You could put some little reflections in here and over here, and our sky is very orange, so why wouldn't you add a little bit of orange in these places that would reflect? So play around with that as well on your piece and pull those reflections down if you like, just to add to it. But I think if you're going to, you know, some more that you could do on this piece would be with your greeny things. You can very much darken this off a little bit and then pull these down with a little bit of water and paint, and they will reflect in the water then. I'll just show you that hopefully before I go. But I think it depends how you want your painting to look. I quite like mine, even though it doesn't look like the original photograph. I quite like what I've done. I would definitely be spending more time and building some of this up, but you know, you get these faint areas where there's all this water and you just get the little greeny bits springing up everywhere. Compared with a blank canvas, this is luscious. I like your thinking. So if you just take a little bit of green on your brush, I haven't really got any left, but a little bit of green and a little bit of, so that you've got some, your brush is watery. Again, you can just pull this down slightly underneath here with these darker greens, and it just starts to give a little bit of reflection in there. I haven't got much green on there. But that's all I do for some reflections, just pulling down a little bit of dark green underneath, okay? So yeah, there we go. I'm going to leave it there for today. I'm really excited to see how you guys progress and finish yours off. And I think, you know, the whole point of the painting room is for me to show you how to do it, and then to let you guys experiment and play around and do what you would do with yours. But bear in mind that one of the things that is really good to learn, and I think I've captured it quite well in this painting, is that the perspective of it, you know, it looks, there's a lot of smaller little bits at the back here, and you can see, you can be drawn into the middle and the light shining at the back here, and then it expands and expands. And as long as you're getting these bushy things bigger and wider at the top here, then you're going to be getting something pretty good. So yeah, the perspective is effective, and that's what really draws people into a painting anyway. So if you guys can definitely learn that everything is smaller and shorter and that at the back, and as we get here, just bringing it bigger and bigger. It's the same with clouds really, not this type of cloud, it's slightly different, but when I create clouds and I want them to look like the sky is coming at you like this, it's about starting from the middle and expanding out, you know, that kind of thing with perspective. So we've learnt a lot this morning, lovely ladies, and I'm excited to see your finished ones and see how you got on. It is a tricky one. I definitely find this one a little bit tricky today, but we can work on that, and we'll see where we're at next week, and maybe we can do a little bit more on it. Okay, right, I'm going to love you and leave you and let you crack on and see what you do. Thank you so much for joining me live, and if you're watching on replay, then I will catch you on replay and catch up with your comments later. Have a lovely day, have a lovely weekend, and I will catch you next week. Thank you so much, ladies. Take care.